Will Smith had to go away and he had to attempt to make amends. Some people argued about too slow, not enough, should have done an interview with Oprah, what have you. He also though went back to work. And the movie's called Emancipation. And I know somebody who worked on the film, and I've heard this is perhaps his greatest work, and it's a shame it could be overshadowed by this, but he's talking, he's making the rounds now. He's talking about his love for this story. And he's also hearing from people and reacting to people who say, you know what? I'm not ready to see you yet go back underground. And here's what the Oscar winner has to say. He spoke to Trevor Noah, Will Smith did on The Daily Show, where he asked the audience for understanding for his assault on Chris Rock at the 2022 Oscars, which Smith called a horrific night. Will Packer didn't appreciate it either, okay, the Oscar producer who did nothing but a great job. When asked about audiences not wanting to watch his work, here's the quote from Will Smith. I completely understand that if someone is not ready, I would absolutely respect that and allow them their space to not be ready. Smith continued, there's many nuances and complexities to it, but at the end of the day, I lost it. I guess I would say you just never know what somebody's going through. Smith was promoting his upcoming film Emancipation, which is loosely based on the life of an enslaved man named Gordon. The man in this famous photograph, nicknamed Whipped Peter. Smith said about the project, I'm hoping that the material, the power of the film, the timeliness of the story, I'm hoping that the good that can be done will open people's hearts at a minimum to see and recognize and support the incredible artists in and around this film. The film tells Gordon's story of when he eluded slave catchers to join the Union Army. Smith says he hopes the importance of the film is not diminished by the Oscar incident. Smith also said it may be his best film yet. The people on this team have done some of the best work of their entire careers, and my deepest hope is that my actions don't penalize my team. Smith reportedly paid $35 million. He was for Emancipation. That, according to Variety, it's the highest, if true, upfront salary paid to any actor in 2022. And so, Mayor, like I said, I don't think that Will Smith was ever canceled. If you do the math and you added up all the people who were watching and had an opinion, right? Because everybody had an opinion. And I think there are more people who said, not good, but we're not canceling you for this one really bad incident. But I wanna know what you think about his explanation, because in some ways he can't win after that incident. What do you make of his explanation that, quote, you never know what someone is going through? Presumably he's talking about himself.
He's definitely talking about himself. This was a selfish response. There's no consideration to Chris Rock, what Chris Rock is going through. And also, like you said, this was the first time we had a black director of the Oscars. So here's what I would say. I am a black man who loved black men. I started Black Male Voter Project as a love letter to black men in the world, the country, making us invisible in the political space. Will Smith smacking Chris Rock and the world allowing him to bounce back so fast is a continuation of America's long or big appetite for black men suffering. This, the fact that this movie name is Emancipation is perfect and spot on, because to be emancipated is to be free of process from basically from political or social restrictions. There's no restrictions on Will Smith's career when he can come back and make $35 million in the same year or right after this happens. Here's what I would say. We all know, it's well documented, not after Chris Rock made his joke, before Chris Rock made his joke, that he has a social disorder that does not allow him to read people's emotion like most of us on their face. Will Smith is friends with Chris Rock, which means he would be aware of this, or he was friends with them. They have a long relationship. To get up there and smack that man in his face on national TV is absolutely disgusting. We should also mention Chris Rock's age and height and weight. And we know, had that been Dave Chappelle or Earthquake, Will Smith would have sat in that chair and laughed like everybody else. It is absolutely disgusting behavior to watch a black man smack another black man at this moment, at that moment, a show being hosted by a black man that had never been hosted. I'm sorry, not hosted by a black man, but produced or directed by a black man is absolutely disgusting. I am not okay with Will Smith being paid $35 million for this money. I'm not okay with him pretending that what he did was not bullying. I'm not okay with him. He had no remorse. The remorse came when he saw the blowback and he saw what the world was doing. Because if you were remorseful, you would have left when security tried to make you leave. When security tried to make Will Smith leave that stadium that night, he said he refused to leave and they let him sit and accept that award. That is absolutely disgusting. You felt nothing for Chris Rock. You put him in a position that he should never be in. And I am disgusted by it.
I think you're exactly right. He bullied Chris Rock and he meant to humiliate him to proportions we've never seen. We've never seen anyone behave like that on the biggest stage in the world and be the victim of that and not fight back and not even know how to react. I also applaud Chris Rock for being able to comport himself in that moment. I do. And let's talk about the aftermath of that Oscars moment and that slap. Because I do believe Will Smith's team leaked things like, Will Packer said I could stay. And I found it reprehensible. Will Packer didn't know what to, he had his hands tied like, I'm trying to support everyone here, not have a black man ended. I think he knew in the moment exactly how terrible and disgusting this was, but he was trying to rebuild, and maybe we could say it's part of the show. Maybe I can, trying to protect black men. And what does Will Smith do after he does all that? He even dimes Will Packer out and says, he said I could stay. Don't just blame it on me. He didn't want to take any responsibility here. I too, though, Mayor, I'm sure this is a great movie. I have a friend who worked on the movie intimately and said, wow, Sharon, when you see this. And I said, I'm not gonna watch it. And not because I don't wanna know my history. It is exhausting, it is traumatic to be black in America, no matter who you are. Michelle Obama told us that recently, didn't she? No matter who you are, it is exhausting to be us and have to walk down the street and encounter a Karen or a male Karen or anybody else who wants to attack and assault just the essence of who you are. And I am tired of Hollywood showing me black trauma. That's just my opinion, Mayor, just mine.
Yeah, I don't think it's just yours. I think it's, it's almost 40 million of us black people in this country. And I bet most of us feel that very same way. There's another way to explore and show the black experience that continue to show us the same story over and over. I think it's also, we should also mention the violence in this, and people forget the epigenetics that's associated with trauma. You don't have to experience trauma to know it. We saw this from a study from Johns Hopkins about the Jewish descendants of folk from the Holocaust, how their DNA, well, not their DNA, but their RNA was forever changed because of the trauma of their ancestors. So if that happened to the Jewish brothers, our Jewish brothers and sisters, imagine what happens to black Americans because of 400 years of slavery and Jim Crow in this country. I don't need to see that to understand what it means. It is still brutal to be black in America. I will say this and end it. It is funny in a very dark and sadistic way that this violence is the last thing we've seen from Will Smith. Not just this movie violence, the violence that you think you need to get up and hit another human to protect your wife. So people say, he was standing up for a black woman. First of all, the sexist and misogynistic of thinking and that goes into a statement like that is absolutely disgusting. And it continues this buck idea that this is a black, he's the buck against this other buck in protection of this black woman who's sitting there fully capable of protecting herself.
Has a voice, she certainly isn't shy about using it, does whatever she wants to do, okay? Does not face repercussions. Their life is their life.